welcome to the show. Something like that. That's the name of the show. Nav, hey, that is my name. And today, my guest, I have admired her work for a very, very long time. Not only her work as a person, too. I've known her the first time I was introduced to her was like more than a decade ago on a show that a mutual friend of ours had called The Crib Show. And from then till this very date, I've followed most of her work. And she's an amazing person. She's a wonderful person. And I would call her a role model, like I was mentioning to her off air. And I'm going to bring her on board just to have a chat with her. Who is she? Well, she's none other than Masia One. Hey, Masia.
What's up? How you doing? Thank you for that very wonderful intro.
It is the truth. Nothing but the truth. Because the very first time I was introduced to you by Vandal and Skills, that was like, say, about 10 years ago, I think, on the Crib Show. It's like, okay, I was just a bit curious, who is this young lady? And as days go by, years go by, I've been following your work and how you have evolved. And the best part about you is it's hard to really pinpoint which part of the world you belong to. Of course, everyone says Singaporean, but you're here, you're there, you're in, I don't know, Hong Kong, you're in Japan, you're in Singapore, Canada, I don't know, you've been traveling Malaysia. So pretty much you are, I would like to call a world child. You seem to be connecting the world together through your music and shows.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, I was very blessed to have a childhood where I was born in Singapore. I grew up in Malaysia for a while. I was living in Penang when I was 3 years old.
Nice
I was also in Malacca at some point. Then I grew up a little bit in Indonesia too. I was in Senggigi. And then my family moved to Canada. I grew up in Canada. I got my start in the music industry in Canada. I worked in the States, worked in LA and New York. Got tired of Hollywood life, moved to Jamaica, lived there for a little while before, at some point my parents were like, hey, like we don't have a daughter. So like, balik, come back to Singapore. But I had such a culture shock for my own culture because I'd been away for so long.
Yeah.
And currently I am based in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. So I love Asia. I'm so glad to be here.
It's good to have you here. Because I was amazed. I was just going through a couple of your IG stories and all. It's like, it's so beautiful. It's the kind of life that I would love to live in. It's like, oh man, she's in Indonesia doing shows. Hey, she's in the Borneo Jazz Festival doing shows. She's in Bangkok. And then she's in Japan. And then the music comes on again. It's like, okay, who owns her right now? Which country owns her at the moment? It's like, you can't figure that out, which is nice. And your journey has been an exciting one for the past, at least for the last 10 years, because you are someone that I've noticed that who don't really follow the system. You break the system.
Merdeka atau mati.
Yes, that's the thing, because I like that in an artist, because a lot of people who tend to follow the algorithms or the systems, like, okay, this is how I should talk, this is how the music should be, and this is how the sound should be. But you, on the other hand, is like you have your own set of rules, and it doesn't matter to you as long I get my message out there, I get my music out there, my videos and my work out there. That's more than enough for me. Is that it? Is that how you look at your style?
Well, I have a bit of debate with myself because maybe I admire the people that are able to identify trends, know the latest thing on TikTok, go with that whole movement, and I think that's pretty amazing. I've never been able to do that just because my heart and my soul would just not allow me to. It might have something to do with, my first exposure to music was Peter Tosh, that my brother used to play for me a lot. Public Enemy, Black Uhuru.
That's a nice combo.
Yeah, it's very, like at a very young age when my cousins were listening to Taiwanese pop music, I was listening to Fight the Power, So that might have had some influence on definitely the musical direction or the type of music I love. But I think coming up in Canada, I was the first person that looked like me, Asian face, female, that was kind of charting in the hip hop charts in Canada. So I think I had a song called Split Second Time. It has a music video that did really well. It was nominated for a Much Music Award, which is like a MTV Canada basically at the time. So I was a totally unknown independent artist. My face looked very different from anything else on hip hop. And here I was competing on the top 10 with Jay-Z and Beastie Boys and all of this kind of
Whoa.
thing. So I think I learned early on that it was possible to build your own culture and community. And when I went into all the record labels as a brand new artist, very fresh, very green, most of the record labels told me that I wasn't marketable. And I think
Okay.
the reason for that was also because they hadn't had a precedent. Like no one that looked like me or sounded like me had come before. So they had no numbers to compare, market research, none of that. So from there, I just said, okay, well, if I'm not marketable, then I better start really learning the business and learn how to market myself.
Okay.
And started my own record label at an early time. Read everything that a lawyer, an entertainment lawyer, would read, and just really schooled myself on the business. And it's been that ever since. So I don't worry. I'm very aware of trends, but I don't worry about it too much. I think for artists and musicians, we should never forget how powerful this thing called music is to affect our mental health, our spirituality, our happiness, and that's the place I want to create from first and foremost.
Nice. Because going back, or rather picking something from what you just said, I've also noticed that you mentioned in one of your interviews that sometimes in certain music that you release is like if you want to focus, because your music is a mix, or certain tracks usually is a mix of you have a bit of hip hop in it, and then you have that reggae elements in it. So when you want to market it to the reggae market, they say it's not reggae enough. And you want to market it to the hip hop market, they say, no, this is too reggae ish.
Yes.
You always is that happen? Does that happen in all your music, or is it like specific ones, or rather like you when you want to just go out there and just perform? It's like, no, this is a hip hop artist. No, she's a reggae artist. That kind
Mm.
of conversations. Does that come out a lot?
Oh my gosh. I think it comes up a lot more since I came back to Southeast Asia.
Oh,
And I think that maybe whether it is that reggae culture here has its stereotypes, right? Like, oh, it's Bob Marley, smoke thing, ah, like there's
okay,
definite stereotypes around reggae music. And
okay,
here I am coming from Jamaica where there's food, there's dance, there's literature. Like it's not just that one image of Bob Marley that you see.
exactly. That happens a lot here, man.
Yes. So I feel like in Southeast Asia, it's easier to pigeonhole things right away, right? Because I guess we have just such busy lives. It's hyper sensory overload. There's big populations. So we kind of tend to take brain shortcuts to be like, oh, she like reggae, she's like this. Oh, he likes
Okay,
punk, he's like this. Like there's definite categorizations. But what I found is coming back to Singapore, there definitely hip hop was already established, right? Hip hop's trending, it's fashionable, all of these things. So I felt like that community didn't need the extra help. And so
okay,
when I looked around, I said, what does Singapore need? And I saw how stressed out people were, how there was kind of a lack of connection because everyone's so busy. So I said, okay, one thing they need is more time and more time with each other, like not a club where you're just getting
okay,
trashed and not talking, like places where you can speak. So I founded the Singapore Dub Club together with the head of Dub Skanking Hi-Fi, also another party was doing reggae in Singapore at the time. We came
okay.
together and everybody like Masia, reggae can never work in Asia. It never work. It'll never work. And when we were doing for that reason, and then when I went to sponsors, they were all telling me that reggae is non-drinking kind of, and this is poor people's music, and it was
Oh,
homeless beach boy music. I was like, where is this stuff coming from at all? Like, it's a huge culture. The reggae festivals in Spain and Britain and Germany are humongous. Like, where is this coming from? When you listen to Rihanna and Justin Bieber and Ellie Goulding, like this is coming from dancehall and reggae culture.
exactly.
So as I kind of saw this situation, I'm like, all right, so the business move here is to put all my reggae parties with atas venues so that no
Okay,
one can say this is quote unquote like poor people's music or this and that. So we did parties with Marina Bay Sands, we did it with Potato Head, we did it
whoa,
with Sentosa on the beach. Like I targeted like really nice places. And from there, it just grew and it grew beyond our expectations. And there was a little reggae movement happening in Singapore. And as I
nice.
began traveling throughout Southeast Asia, um, I definitely got to see how huge the movement is in Malaysia, in Indonesia, especially around ska and rocksteady, ska punk, that kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
And I realized that it was just a matter of people. There was never anyone unifying or organizing everyone together. Everyone has their little
Okay.
pods and their communities, and you know, this abang does this and this person does this over here, but no one was pulling everyone together to say, hey, this is a movement. It exists. And even though the mainstream industry in Southeast Asia isn't really geared toward a reggae sound,
Okay.
um, the reggae community and the numbers across Southeast Asia have enough in themselves to create their own platforms. So that's what I got
Exactly.
excited about. Um, yeah. But I did, the long story short is I released a song called Wait in Vain recently.
I
I meant
know.
it as a pop song. I wrote it as a pop song. And
But
that's
it
a
is a
stretch.
beautiful track.
Thank you. It's a stretch for me because I like super hardcore lyrics or like super Rasta vibe, you know?
I've
So I'm
also
like,
noticed that.
okay, let's tone it down. We're gonna do a pop song. When I put this pop song out to the industry, a lot of PR, media, that type of thing said, "It's just too reggae, too reggae. We don't know what to do with this. Sorry." So I was like, I felt very disappointed because in my brain, I had written a pop song and then I was being told, no, what you thought you wrote as a professional artist, as an artist that's been doing this for 20 years, you're wrong. Actually, it's not this, it's this, right? So I had to kind of back up and recalibrate and say, okay, what causes people to be afraid of this genre and not that? What causes people to want to understand or pigeonhole someone as one thing and not something else? So yeah, it's been a cool learning experience.
But I think on that matter, like say for example, you're going back to the stuff that you've been doing in Singapore, organizing all this event. I think when you do something consistently and frequently, it becomes a culture itself by itself. Same thing goes to the music part of it. It's because they are so used to that being exposed to that certain culture of uh, reggae. Like you said earlier, reggae when it comes to it's only Jamaica, Bob Marley, and as a bonus, maybe Sean Paul and Shaggy. That's about it. And,
We're like
and
la
that's the
la la
furthest it
long
goes.
long 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 long.
Yeah, and that too. So when you have music as such, or rather the culture or events that you are doing, if you're doing it, you're going to do it frequently and consistently, and have the right amount of exposure on it. I think that itself will turn into a culture where people realize that hey, this is another genre, so I don't have to worry about is it too reggae or too
Yeah,
little reggae, that kind of thing. I hope it has more. Uh, m- how do I put it? People will be more exposed to it as time goes by, man.
sure. I mean, I've pondered this and I was thinking either it's because a lot of reggae has very non-consumerist culture lyrics
Mhm.
in it, and that's like almost the opposite of this artist culture we have now where we're getting sponsored by products in order to put
Yeah.
things on our social media, and it's almost like musicians are being paid by consumerism
Like,
at this point in time in terms of the mainstream, right? So it's
yeah.
the message of this genre of music is directly opposed to what the system needs it to do. I suppose, right? And
Exactly.
on the flip side, what you were saying about being repetitious, like being consistent, sticking with it. And I feel like if I had one sound that I stuck with and I continually kept putting it out, I think what people want from me is like boss bitch energy, honestly, just like raps where
Yeah.
I'm like, I'll kill you in your sleep. I love
No, but
that
you,
stuff.
as a
Um,
musician, you also have to evolve, right? You just can't be going on the same thing for, I mean, 10, 20, 30 years. I've been singing the same songs, same tunes. You become very monotonous. So this, like I said, I kind of like your whole style from the day one I've known you, and how your music has changed during that period of time, which is very interesting because it's like I get to see Major in different versions as time goes on. It's like, okay, this year I see Major in this form, and the next minute I see her in another form, which is exciting. So you keep it fresh at all times. And I think that should be the template for a lot of new artists who's coming on board. Prepare yourself, look into the future. Don't just look for now, right
yeah,
now, and just look at 10 years ahead or 15 or 20 years ahead, how you want to see yourself. So that's how I
sure.
like what you're doing.
Yeah, there's different models to the music industry. You could go viral and pop off on one song and never come back again. Or you could
Yeah.
be a career artist that really is enjoying the journey and kind of building as you go down that road. So definitely.
And another thing to add on to your journey, of course, you got involved in the blockchain. Is that the word for a blockchain or Web3 world? Which is an
Absolutely.
exciting one. I'm still trying to figure the math on that one, which is taking me quite a while now to get into that. So, how do you get yourself involved in that world? And is it benefiting you more than what it is on the mainstream side of it?
Sure. It I refer to it as Web3 because so much of what we do now depends on social media, on the connection through online. Right now, we're speaking through online, and it really was actually Vandal was the first person. Vandal and DJ Lethal Skills were the two first people that kind of put the bug in my head. And when I tried to look at it in the early days, I think Vandal told me about blockchain as early as 2017. I
Yeah,
was like,
around there.
okay, okay, enjoy your monopoly money. This is just too crazy for me. I'm busy, shining money every day. But during the first lockdown, I was in Johor Bahru. I couldn't tour, couldn't move around, couldn't go many places. So Vandal said to me, "Why don't you mint some NFTs?" I did. It was very successful for me. And honestly, I didn't know what I was doing. But one thing I learned about Web3 is that you could sit down and read 100 books about it, articles, Medium articles, and you'll be sitting there like, what the Ras is anyone talking about? Like, what is the vocabulary? What are they referring to? It's actually one of the like I'm someone who loves to just read, digest, take notes, and then I know it. But it's
Okay.
one of the spaces where you can't really do that. You need to actually participate in order to understand the weird kind of like way things are. Oh, okay, people go to Twitter spaces to communicate. And that's where a lot of learning happens. People share with one another. How do you do this? How do you develop this? In the Twitter spaces, you start to learn like the lingo, the places, the marketplaces that are popular. So for me, I think that there's a lot of fear around NFT and cryptocurrencies because my mama is always sending me every day the daily article about the scam and the scandal and everything about it. For me, I approached Web3 through an artist's eyes, right? In a very creative way. I'm not there to trade crypto. I'm there to actually see how can this innovation and technology and the platforms it affords us um, help myself and also my community, other creatives that might be stuck. And I think that it's a pretty amazing space. It's anything you need it to be, honestly.
I could imagine because I was looking through some of the stuff that Vandal's been doing. Vandal is pretty much like the crypto preacher or crypto messiah that's spreading the crypto word around. And he's been doing a fantastic job on that one. I must say, the platform that he has created, the crypto voxels, the shows, the community. I was just looking at it at the surface of it, and it is profitable for a lot of artists out there instead of just depending on Spotify, where you have a billion views and get paid 50 cents. This kind of thing. So this world is profiting on the business side of it. So, but it is also a question for me as an artist. Uh, can you split your music on both sides, or you need to have a focus on only one? Like, say, for example, if you are relying on your Spotify or your playlist or YouTube videos for that matter, would it affect you in the crypto world if that's being available on that platforms and vice versa?
I personally don't believe so. I had the wonderful opportunity to work with Vandal's DAO Records, which is a crypto label.
Yeah.
First, I was A&Ring for the label, and now I'm doing creative consultation as creative director, the branding, all of that stuff. And one thing that I saw was that, how do I explain this? Sorry. Um, sorry, repeat your question to me again.
No, having these two worlds, like exposing your
Ah,
music onto the
yes.
like Spotify, YouTube, and would it affect the ones in the crypto world or the Web
Yes,
three
I
world?
think that we're in this like I call it Web 2 and Web 3. Web 2 is like your Facebook, your YouTube, your social media. Web 3 is this like crypto voxels. It's anything that is on the blockchain. And I think that we're at Web 2.5. We're somewhere
Okay.
in between. When I post anything about crypto on my socials in Web 2, it's like 0 likes. Now I post a selfie and it's like a billion likes. You're like, come on, y'all. I'm trying to teach you something.
Oh,
Um, I think they're both feeding one another right now. And something that you can do is okay, number one, I think the most important thing is a shift in mentality, right? Where Web 2,
okay.
we've all been trained for quantity, more followers, more likes, more streams, more. Whereas in Web3, you're really looking at what's a special experience, what is exclusive, who are my most loyal fans, um, or who is just interested in a topic enough to really engage with me in a very interactive way. So my example is that in Web3, I could sell 3 NFTs and make more money than, Spotify will pay me in a year. I could make more money off of 3 people than I could off of the 29,000 people I have on my Instagram. So then it becomes not a question of programming to attract the most number of people, which often is about the algorithm, about the trends, about using hashtags that everyone's using. Now,
Okay.
I guess this world is kind of made for me. Now you can be a very niche, specialized type of artist, but just really be clever on how you find the other like ugly ducklings to come to your pond?
Okay. But in terms of popularity, how does that work in comparison with Web 3 and Web 2 and Web 3? Because, of course, when it comes to Web 2, your exposure is completely different. It's masses. You're talking about a huge population of music listeners or music lovers. But Web 3, do you get a sort of, at least to a certain percentage, of response for your music as an artist and the popularity for an artist? Do you get that in Web 3?
Absolutely. What I love more about Web3 is people are, well, they have this mentality that they don't want the Facebook, Spotify worlds anymore, where everything we put out there, everything we create is actually not our own. You just gave me a
Okay.
very clear example of that. You think it's your own video that you're putting out to the world. You think it's your own music you're putting on the world. But there is a fine print on most social media platforms that says if they need to use anything you post on their platforms, they're actually licensed to be able to do that. So now for the
Okay.
first time, you have to switch your mentality to say, everything I create, that's my IP. I'm allowed to price it. I'm allowed to decide how much it is. I can decide for myself how it goes out there. And when people purchase it, you can see it's authentically mine. So
Okay.
I think the switch of the mentality just changes so much. In Web3, fans are a lot more engaged and when they speak to me. They're like,
Okay.
oh, on IG be like, girl, you look cute. But on Web3, it'll be like, hey, I saw that you're very influenced by the Jamaican diaspora, yet you're from Southeast Asia. I was wondering, how do you navigate? I was like, really deep
Okay.
questions. I was like,
The smart ones,
wow.
lah.
And as an artist, you it's a joy to be seen, right? It's joy that you can resonate and message, and someone got that strange, obscure thing that you're trying to communicate.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a very satisfying space to interact in.
Nice. Sorry, I mean, I don't know how from your music, I just went into this whole crypto world because, like I said, I admire what you do. And I just want the rest of the world or the music world to understand this part of the world, which is pretty exciting and beneficial for a lot of musicians out there instead of solely depending on the mainstream Web 3, especially the upcoming artists. A lot of them complains like, I'm not getting what I need to get. I'm not getting the right, I don't know, the quantity and quality of response. So I think maybe you should get into the Web 3 and check that out too. But speaking of your
Yeah.
music, Wait in Vain, that is out right now. It's been released about a couple of weeks, a month ago. And it is a beautiful video. I love the idea that he released it in HD with 60 frames per second, which made it feel like as though I'm in the video myself. It is a
Nice.
beautiful video. It was shot in Langkawi, right?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, sometimes we admire all these other places in the world, like let's go to the Caribbean or let's go here and let's go there. And just knowing that you have paradise like just around the corner here in Malaysia, wow, I've just explored and discovered so many unwritten about even places that are just so gorgeous, such rich culture, of course, amazing food. Um,
Oh,
and
for you see my size, you know.
and even to tie in the whole NFT thing. So here's a case study. I like to give
Give
practical
it.
advice to creatives
You
out there,
go,
right?
girl. You do
So
it.
I'm not saying I know I have the answers. I don't have all the answers, but here's my experiment. So I put out a song called Wait in Vain. The music video is
Okay.
shot in Langkawi. Right now I'm putting together an NFT, which comes with a digital zine that shows
Mhm.
you, that tells you about the businesses the venues that we shot the music video at. Like my friend I'm Groove's place that serves like really nice ipo karimi, a skateboard bowl built to help keep kids out of trouble in Langkawi. Like we shot these different places in the music video. So now I'm gonna put a digital zine to share with you the people behind these spaces, why they created these businesses, and if you buy the NFT for this song, you can go to Langkawi and get a special treat from any of these places. So
Oh,
whether that's 10% off a coffee, whether that's like a hug and a smile, whether that's a special workshop. So the idea is, as a fan, traditionally we watch the music video, we comment, and then like, yay, that was cool. But now you can take your fans and following even deeper and say, hey, do you want to visit the place that we shot this music video at? Because if you do, I'll make sure you have some kind of VIP so that they treat you like Masia One when you get there. When you show
wow.
you own this NFT, you'd be like, oh, you're down with that Masia One thing. All right, come through, come through. Here's an extra coffee. And experimenting with that is like, wow, how do you break that third wall and actually give your fans something that's so much more deeper and so much more meaningful? And also building as an artist together with small businesses and letting that grow. Sorry, I
Nice.
threw
That's a
so much
brilliant.
at you right now.
No, no, no. I love it. This is a brilliant idea. I didn't think of that because I had these conversations, and the furthest I went, I mean, something from the past artists that I was talking about, between streaming music and printing out merchandises of physical copies of CDs, and you look into the inlays. But you have taken it to the next level with the NFTs and the discounts, or how you connect businesses uh, to help out the businesses at the same time and the fans at the very same time. This is a
Yeah.
brilliant idea. I hope for those listening in, start doing it. Start doing the whole thing. I did not see that coming. Well, it's amazing, eh? Definitely.
And there's so many different ways that you can use it too. So it's just like how creative you can be with the technology that you're given. I just feel that with the music industry, more and more, as AI can even make a song now, I feel like it would be too narrow minded to only look at the music business as a way for artists to grow and flourish. Because right
Okay.
now, the music business is run by larger companies that actually tell you how much money you're going to make on a stream. You don't have a choice in that matter. So if me as an entrepreneur and as an artist, I don't agree with the business models that I'm given, then let me look somewhere else. Like I'm not agreeing with the music industry's business models, but I think restaurants and cafes and F&B are made by music that have vibe and that kind of thing. How can I collaborate with them? Sports, like you can't have sports without some music to rev up people. Where are those
Exactly.
industries like? How do we work with them? So I think my whole career has just been about how do we continue to innovate and build community.
Nice. That's a very nice one. I have to look into that. Now I regret that I can't sing or play music more, because I realized I could start doing something similar to that. And well, getting back to the music, let's talk a little bit about Weight in Vain. And this one, like you said earlier in the conversation, you mellowed down a lot for this particular track. It's a nice chill out vibe going on. And of course, it features Danny Fresh. Did I get the name right?
Yes.
Okay, Danny's from Indonesia, right?
Yes, he
Is he?
is.
Okay, so
Surabaya, but based in Jakarta now.
nice bass. And coming up with this music, whose idea was it for the whole concept of it, the sound of it, and what was it actually all about?
Sure. Thank you for asking. Um, a producer named Kevin Perkins, who I knew from my days in Toronto, he has since moved to Trinidad and Tobago. Good idea. And starting a studio there. So he sent me this beat, and I was like, why does this beat feel so good? It was during the pandemic that I got this rhythm. And I used to be in a very crusty mood, claustrophobic. We're indoors all day. We see the same people every day. We eat the same stuff. So I would take myself on walks and I would just put this instrumental in, and somehow this instrumental always put me in a good mood. And I was like,
Okay.
wow, it's been a while since I heard like a music that could change my mood just like that. So even though I'm known more for like boss bitch energy raps, I felt like, you know what? If this is affecting me in such a positive way, why don't I write a song that's very healing and not even healing? I'm not even going that deep. It's more like you feel good. And if you're feeling crusty and you're about to snap on your partner or you snap on your friends, you just put something on like this on and like, you know what? It's okay. Santai.
Relax.
Like everything's gonna
Chill,
be
bro.
okay. And yeah, it's not much deeper than that. Other than what I can say is it sounds like a love song, which is like, I don't want to wait and wait for your loving. But in my wanderings around by myself, listening to the song during the pandemic, listening to the rhythm during the pandemic, I was thinking like, why do we ever write love songs to ourselves, right? Like we always prioritize whatever person we have in our lives and that kind of thing. Like why are we always waiting in vain for our own loving? So there's kind of a low key message in there too, where you can just sing this song to yourself and remind yourself that you need some loving.
Nice. Appreciate yourself for all the hard work you've put in life and all the things that you faced through. Well, that's a
Yes.
pretty nice song. And well, it also comes with the exciting bonus, which is the contest that's taking place right now. And
Yes.
good news is this: you are going to get yourself a Sennheiser wireless headphones worth 1,500 ringgit if you win. Okay, if you win,
If
or
you
when
win.
you win. Don't say I'm not going to say that everybody's going to get one, but when you win the contest. So the mechanics, help me out here. What exactly do they have to do in order to win this headphones?
So you can check my pin post on my IG, but follow, the basics. Follow myself on IG and TikTok. Follow Sennheiser Singapore because they are sponsoring these amazing headphones. Here.
Oh,
These. Except I'm giving
nice.
away the white ones, which I kind of like the white ones more.
Oh,
But they are mobile headphones. Honestly, I've been living in the dark ages. I don't use anything wireless for the longest time.
okay.
And when I did, I would be on the train taking Zoom calls with these because they're built-in mics that are like crystal. And also with listening to studio mixes, all my headphones are like bass driven. So they're like always too heavy on the
Yeah.
bass. These are true. Like the sound is what it is. So part of this contest came as a result of being told that the song was too reggae, Malaysia. So I'm like, okay, wait, how do we teach the industry maybe that it doesn't need to be so, limited into categories and be so classified? Well, the best way to do that is get the people to teach it. And I feel like I want music to just be a vibe. How does it make you feel? Did it brighten up your day? Is it attached to a memory? To me, that's the categories of music, not necessarily like it's this and this and this. So for that reason, I'm calling for people to just edit any video to this song. It could be your vacay footage. It could be you like relax one corner with your homies. It could be your favorite cafe, and just put the song to a video that you love and tag me on it, and away we go. And we're
I
gonna
got to
pick the
start
most
shooting my
creative.
videos.
Yes,
Just got to find the
please.
right spot for it right now, guys. Some clean shave.
You just
And,
you just sing a remix of it. Your voice is so good.
oh, thank you very much. It's like remix. Nah, I don't think so. I can sing. Maybe I could talk over it. That's the best I
Yeah,
can
like a
do.
spoken. I don't want to wait in vain for your lovin'.
Maybe I'll do that. Oh yeah, that's an idea. So especially okay, don't be surprised if you see my entry down there. But anyway, TikTokers, especially TikTokers, you've been wasting your time on things that's not going to reward you. So I suggest you hop on this one because TikTok videos, all you get is a few likes and swipes. That's about it. So at least put your effort to good use. All this posing and all those dances and all those things, the shots that they've taken. Why don't you use that for this particular contest? And all they have to do is just hit you up on your Instagram, right?
Yes,
To submit the
absolutely.
entries. So I'll
Yeah,
put the whole details.
I pinned the contest to my post. Like the first post is the instructions. And I gotta mention, one of the entries that came in was a full remix of the song. And this is amazing because someone named Willie Chin, who does his whole IG is about how he remixes songs all the time. So
Okay.
I kind of shared with him that like, what is too reggae? I don't know what too reggae means, I wrote it as a pop song. And he's like, I got you. And he remixed the whole song into what he sees as a pop song. So
Wow.
don't be surprised if like a full remix comes out of this.
I got to check this out, man. I definitely. This contest is going to go on till the 1st of December, right?
Yes, but I might actually extend it now because some good stuff is coming in. So I'm really tempted
Please
to
extend it because it gives me a little time to come up with an idea for the video. But the best thing is after the entries are submitted, are you going to reveal apart from the winner and all the entries that came in? Are you going to share that? That would be so cool to see.
Absolutely. I mean, for me, I even ask people that enter, like, hey, is there something you'd like me to plug? So that when I post it on my timelines and share about it, I'd be like, singer, I know Bitsu was on your show too, right?
Yeah.
She did this awesome video going to the waterfalls and chilling. After, that post, I also share about her music. She's an incredible vocalist, great songwriter. So I want to show the people behind all of these things too. I mean, that's part of building community. That's part of going more than surface level of like, oh yeah, IG, that's hot. Here's an emoticon.
I like the way you think. I like the way you think, woman. It is absolutely fantastic. And remember, all the details that you need to know, I'm going to put it in the website. I'm going to share it on my IG. My IG is not so popular, but anyway, the website, everybody visits the website. So every single detail you need to know about it will be available on the website. And this podcast will be up on Sunday. So it shouldn't be very long. It gives you enough time to do it. So please submit as much entries as possible. And the most important thing of all is check out that beautiful video, man. It really, if you have a big screen TV at home, that will be the best experience. 60 frames per second on HD. You feel it's like a 3D video somehow when you just look at the whole thing.
Hey, I got to give the director a shout out. Naeem, he's a young talent living in Langkawi. He's a YouTuber. And I love taking a chance on that. He's like, this will be my first music video. I'm like, don't worry, let's go. I got your back.
Good job.
Yeah.
Naeem, thumbs up, man. Hopefully to see more videos from you coming up on social media and all the other platforms for artists out there. Masia, thank you so much for taking the time and joining me on this chat. It's been a pleasure chatting with you after a very long time. I never really had a chance to do this sort of thingy. It was more of conversations prior to this, but hopefully you don't have to wait for another year or 15 years before the next chat takes place.
I don't want to wait and wait for Nav's interview.
Is there anything you'd like to add on before we wrap things up?
I want to say that like platforms like yours are so, so important. I'm so grateful that there is this right here because, as I've been sharing throughout this whole interview, even if I'm told by mainstream media, like, hey, it's to this, it's to that, there are people that still love music, that love the culture, that want to see it go far, that want to tell the stories behind it. And it's really us creating these platforms, working together, sharing the best practices that allows this music industry to flourish. I came out of the worldwide underground. I worked at Aftermath and all of these, I worked with Interscope, I worked on the mainstream. So for myself to see the most grassroots of grassroots all the way up to the most mainstream you can imagine, my heart is still with the grassroots. This is where the real trends and the innovations are happening. So I don't know, for the creatives out there, have confidence in yourself. You are the innovators. You have the ability to create things and platforms and bring people together to work together on those things. So make hustle your art, be creative in how you hustle, and sky's the limit,
Thank you. Thank you very much. Those are very beautiful words. And like I said earlier, you want to know more on how it's done, how things should be done, well, please do follow Masia on the social media, our website, the music, everything you can think of. And you never know, maybe just drop her a line and she might be happy to share her experience with you. Not just to go simply ask, like, hey, don't simply ask, just ask the right questions, okay? don't embarrass yourself with the wrong questions. Plan it properly before you pop that question. Because the last thing you need is your DMs filled up with questions like, how all that. We don't want that happen.
Wait, can I just share that that's what I love about Malaysia? People in Malaysia can put a 2-sentence full of information into just one word, how or how. I think that's amazing. Truncate
we take pride in that.
Let's get to the point, people.
Yeah. All right. So what do we do after this? No, I'm just kidding. Okay. Masia, thank you so much, Masia. It's been a pleasure chatting with you. And I wish you all the best. And hopefully you find the perfect video or the entry for your contest. Hopefully it's mine. And just got to figure out how to work the whole thing. All right.
Awesome.
Thank you, Masia. Thank you very
so much.